HD2 Waldorf, WKYS HD2 Washington, WMMJ HD2 Bethesda, and worldwide
Welcome to the Carmiece Graves Radio Show. Thank you for tuning in.
Do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Talk 1450 WOL, Radio 1 Incorporated, or their management. Good morning and welcome to the Carmiece Graves Show. Get ready to get great information on knowing your rights on estate planning, bankruptcy, divorce, alimony, and much more. Now, for today's show, here's Attorney Carmiece Graves.
Good morning. Welcome to the Carmiece Graves Radio Show. And it is moi, Carmiece Graves. Isn't it a beautiful day in the DMV? This is the morning that we coveted here that makes us weather snobs in the DMV. If it isn't a perfectly temperatured day with no humidity and the sun shining with a nice breeze but more warm than cool, if it's not that, we got a problem. But today we ain't got no problems. Well, we do. We are going to talk about high conflict divorce and custody matters and some tips that I think would be helpful for people to know, things that I tell my clients to kind of get them through, because as you guys know, I practice estate planning, family law, and bankruptcy in Maryland and DC, and I come here once a week. It's such an honor to be part of the Radio 1 family, where I get to kind of share, let you guys know that I'm available to support you, to help you through whether it's a bankruptcy matter, estate planning matter, a family matter, and then to share information that so we're more knowledgeable about things that we could do better to avoid some pitfalls that others have stumbled upon, and we can learn, share, and grow together. So first off, we're going to get into this topic of these tips, things that I think would be really helpful in managing high custody conflict cases. Now, I wanted to title it on Facebook, divorcing the narcissist or something like that. I'm not a clinical person to, diagnose someone as a narcissist, but using the term in the way we use it in its vernacular sense, in its common understanding. But usually these situations, and of course I see a good amount of them, people get stumped with, you're trying to, dissolve the matter. It's already a painful, hurtful situation. No matter whether the marriage was in tatters or not, going through a divorce and separation is a major life change. And you want to kind of get through it with as much grace and compassion as possible, because it's already a sucky situation. And then you can find yourself on the other side of a person who is suffering and does not really and has not developed a healthy way to channel and process their emotions. And at this point, they are just spewing. And the spew is painful. The spew is destructive. It's bad decision making. It's not coming to the table. It's just not. And the most surprising thing that can happen is not making good decisions, that would be for the best interests of the party's children. Now, that's always a matter of perspective, though, because I'm not a mediator, and I'm not serving, in these cases that I've been in as a best interest attorney, but it's just kind of certain things I could say, that would kind of ease the tensions and really not hurt your position or have you give up any substantial rights, but it would just be a good and decent thing to do, like say, exchange the child for the other party's, Mother's Day or Father's Day or something like that. And, so we don't have an order in place. But that's just, could we do that? But sometimes when you're dealing with a custody matter, that these are matters of the heart. When you're dealing with a divorce, these are matters of the heart, and it strikes and lights your emotional base on fire. And if it's not healthy, one that you've already worked out the kinks in terms of how to get it back balanced, how to get yourself back right, whether it's go to the gym, meditate, pray, whatever you do, if that process isn't, flowing, a divorce could be a thing that would take you to the brink real quick, because it's just like, wait, a reality is upon me that's things are going to substantially change in my day-to-day routine. And sometimes change is scary, and then you're in this kind of survival, fight or flight mode, and that animal instinct comes up, and it don't care about nobody. It don't care about you, the baby, nobody. It's trying to survive, get as much money, reduce expenses, figure out every man for himself, it kind of starts to feel like. And we don't want that to, and that happens. And if that's who, we're in this with, it could be a difficult, bumpy ride as the person kind of settles down. And that's why I always tell people when you're, dealing with divorce, because it incites such emotion to this degree that's very natural, you need emotional support. You need your emotional team. So with that, I'm going to take one pause for the cause and give myself a shout out, because today, May 7th, 2019, I celebrate 19 years of Buddhist practice. Yay! 19 years. I almost can say that I have been practicing Buddhism for half my life. That's a long time. So I started the journey back in 2000, and it was, through my prayer and meditation, asking what was my way to practice my spirituality. I knew kind of that was the thing that I needed to work on. I had the degrees, I had, the resume success, but not the actual happiness that you do all these things for. You go to school to get a better job, to have more money, to live in a better place because you think you're going to feel better and enjoy your living space and life more. You get a mate, you get married because you feel that, life with having a companion that you love will bring you more joy. So everything is about more joy. And when you have those things and you still don't have the joy, you'd be like, okay, look, I got to look at something else. And I just knew, I'm so glad I had the wisdom to know. I was like, okay, I'm going to pray about this, and shout out to my good best friend from college, Michelle Richards, Dr. Richards. She taught me how to pray. School was so hard, guys. I was an accounting major. It was so hard. It took me to prayer. I was like, God, please help me get through this exam and understand what these people are talking about. It was so hard, okay? And that's, and that's the true thing about personal development. It is inspired through angst and obstacles and strife and hardship. Hardship brings you, health does that too. If you're dealing with a health issue, health is something that really, has you look inward very quickly and upward, because doctors are like, it's fatal. And you're like, what? No, I don't want to believe you. And they're like, well, if you don't believe me, who do you believe it? People get spiritual real quick. And that's one of the benefits of overcoming and, grappling with an illness. You are going to go within, and, same thing with life obstacles. Gets real. It's like, that's what I did. Like, okay, this external stuff didn't cut it. I did all that. What's left? It's like internal stuff. So it's been a 19-year journey that I celebrate practicing Buddhism with the Soka Gakkai International. In New York, I started my practice, and it's like, what is it to be a black woman practicing Buddhism? Tina Turner, yeah, she laid it down. That was, she introduced the world to chanting and having a victorious story, and, and really having a successful life, and having the story of overcoming, her obstacles and being successful and being happy. And that was my quest, and that's the goal of my organization, is that we really promote world peace through individual happiness, that people learn how to have a life be how they want it to be, and understand what the real roadblocks to happiness is. And it only lies within. It only lies within. Anything making you believe it's something external is a lie and will keep you powerless. So that's that. So I celebrate 19 years. Yay, I'm so happy. And I knew that I would continue practicing this Buddhism because I needed something that was very rational for me, that I could grapple with, that it could, undergo the scrutiny of my deductive reasoning and thinking, and needing for it to make sense to me, and be able to, most importantly, produce results for me in terms of helping me overcome life's challenges and I'm not perfect, but I do like the battle that I have waged against life's obstacles and how I fared. And I'm just warming up, just trying to just kind of get in my groove on how to really do this. So I'm really excited as to what's to come, because 19 years, it's locked and loaded. I practiced this. I'm confident in how to use my superpowers, and now we're ready to blow. So yes. This is a new beginning for me. So welcome to the Carmiece Graves Radio Show 2019, baby. We're going to get it. So back to the topic, though. That and so we're going to talk. So we talk about this idea of these tips in dealing with custody and child support and divorce when somebody just emotionally is not dealing with this well. I want to talk to you about this. Most times when you're dealing in a situation where it's had a lot of vitriol, there's been a lot of fueling of negativity. There's the person that, maybe they antagonize, they start it, they flick it off. The other person, maybe tries to, get along and ignore it, and then at one point they're in, you know what I mean? And it's a conflict. It bubbles up to a point and it erupts. And now it's erupted, and we are trying to triage and get through, to get some order. One of the things you do want to do in these situations is stay focused on the goal and turn your attention away from the disruptive being. Okay, because that disruption and that dysfunction needs your energy. You're going to need to bleed it emotionally. Okay, it's like boot camp over here. You come over here, I'm like, look, this is what I need you to do. I don't need you texting a whole bunch of texting and emailing a whole bunch of email and fighting and blah, blah, blah. And here's the key thing, trying to make sense. Try to be rational in an irrational situation. No, don't try it. Trying to understand and grapple with, why would this person do this? I can't believe they're acting like this. No, clearly you were confused about who this person was, and now this reality is letting you know what the deal is. But the person is under stress, okay? We're still dealing with a heightened scenario, so people tend not to act normally. So you got to give folks that pass, and then again, you're going to have to turn your attention away from the disruptive being, focus squarely on what we are trying to accomplish and how we're going to get there, and what the legal system has available for us in terms of your factual scenario. And we march straight. This is what a third party, decision maker is for. And this is why I like being a lawyer. This is why I like court. I mean, I don't like court, but I like the fact that it exists in terms of, I like the judicial system. I like that we know with some predictability that we have some assurances that, listen, if we can't work this out, somebody will. And then with experience, more than likely, this is how it's going to work out. So why don't we just work it out ourselves? But that structure is there that if we don't get along and we can't work this out, there is a process that will add some order to this and have some resolution. Now, most people, nobody's 100% happy in family. It's not a happy situation. What we're trying to do in the situation is just get some order, calm the emotions down, make sure that, there's a third party now opining on, and this is the thing you give up, though. Then you kind of subject yourself to the personal jurisdiction of the court, and your final say you have subjected your final say to the court. You've given it over to them and said, okay, everybody's in, and we'll let you decide because we can't work it out. And if you can't, that's available. And hopefully we can settle it way before we get to that point, when you have, people involved that kind of know more than likely we can get this or that, and really have a meaningful conversation with our clients so that they can save money, they can save emotional resources, and but start to adjust to this new family structure. And I use that word intentionally. It's a new family structure, okay? It's a new family dynamic. the family still exists, but mommy and daddy sleep with other people now and may get remarried. That and live in two different houses. The family structure has changed, but I always encourage people to continue to treat it, especially on my guy on my guy side. When I talk to the men about that, that's probably a conversation I have a lot with my male clients, because I know one of the things that will get a woman or wife unnerved if she didn't have as much of the financial resources is this idea that I'm being dropped, this idea that I'm vulnerable in the world, that my protector provider has dipped out on me. And now if those emotions settle in and that fear in Mama Bear comes out, we got a problem. So we can emotionally kind of deal with that. Okay, so we're going to take a quick check-in with traffic and weather. I can tell you it's beautiful, and stay tuned to the Carmiece Graves Radio Show.
7153.
Whew, I feel like I've said a lot, and we still only at the half show mark. I feel like I've said a lot. Hey, Paige. Whew. I think that was a whole show, honestly, y'all, for real.
This WL traffic and weather update is sponsored by...
Okay, so I'm going to take a minute to catch my breath. That was a lot, but it was useful information, hopefully, to someone out there. I know that it is. But upcoming, I'm going to have someone on, give us more information about foreclosure defense. There's a lot going on. You know, I practice, in Prince George's County. I feel like, the foreclosures are still really aggressive, and we have to really be diligent about making sure that we maintain property in the county, that we help people stay in their properties, because we know those property values are I don't know, they don't seem to be kind of lowly valued now, but they're probably on the uptick. And this is not the time to be losing your house, and because getting back into the job market, if we're expecting an increase. Now, some people say we may go into a decline, but folks, I'm not too sure about that. But either way, welcome back to the Carmiece Graves Radio Show. I was going into y'all on Facebook. I forgot. I was talking about, in the next few weeks, we're going to have, I want to talk about foreclosure defense and make sure we get some information out to the community about things that we can do short of bankruptcy. If you find yourself, in that situation and you have a foreclosure notice, we want to, let you know some resources available in the community to get some support and some help. Bankruptcy, what I do is when all that didn't work, if all that did not work out, or you didn't start the process early enough and we're down to the 11th hour, and there's something that, you think that you can manage in dealing with the arrearage, that's when you call me. Again, that's my posture. I like that there's a structure. Like, when you and the bank ain't work it out, we could go ahead and say, listen, bankruptcy court, we want y'all to work it out, and we know the rules, and we kind of know how this is going to go. So you have some ability and some, a surety that this, we can do an analysis and kind of tell you where you're going to land and make a clean decision if that's what you want to do. And we can pull the trigger and make it happen and have some reassurances, a lot of reassurances, a whole code of reassurances on how this is going to go. That's kind of how I like it, So that's probably the accountant side of me, liking some, definitiveness to what I'm doing. We like it. All right. So, yeah. So we're back, and we were talking about tips to this high conflict custody and divorce and things like that. And I guess the tip is accept it. Do not let yourself drag you through a divorce in custody with why and really being blown by this crazy behavior that the other party is now displaying. You've seen it before. This ain't the first time. You've seen it before, but it might be at the most, heightened version that you've seen it. Probably not. But now it's public. That's probably the shocker. And maybe it involves things that are personal to you. Now it's your property, the children. You're like, dang, I thought we would have common ground and call it truces and deuces when it comes to the kids. They'd be like, nah, I want it all. I want full custody. You're like, okay. So pay attention not to the disruptive being. You cannot feed it. You're going to need to be in rhythm with your attorney. You're going to need to be centered on bringing your case, having your outcomes, developing your fact patterns, and not having yourself, emotionally, crazed by the disruptive being. Let that swirl over there like a Tasmanian devil. Just go on, all right, you over there. You know what I mean? Some backlashes and outfalls, pitfalls of that is they could be spinning around filing a lot of stuff in cases, which could, drain your financial resources. So you don't want to win a lot of money. And oh my God, that would be horrible. That's when you find yourself in those cases where but you can ask for suit money. If the money is that unbalanced that this person could go get, an attorney to come and serve you a whole bunch of stuff. That is the situation where we jump in there and be like, well, give me 20 grand to go spend and fight you. If this how you want to spend our marital money, come and give me 20,000. That's called suit money, baby. You get that money. You want to play around with us? I digress. But you have to zealously advocate for the client. So, guys, got to bring the temperature down a bit. You're going to have to really, and it's so addictive to pay attention to the crazy and ludicrous behavior and to talk about it with friends and family and anyone that would listen to point out the flaws and foes of this person and their crazy disruptive behavior and how righteous you are. It's your ego doing that too. So you're going to have to get off of it as well and focus on the goal. It feels good. They wrong. Look at them. Crazy. That's just your ego saying I'm better than this person in this moment. Okay, have 1-2 minutes of that, but let's get back to business. Let's get back focused. Everybody's ego is kind of enthralled with giving off pain or pointing out flaws. But listen to this, guys. This was so interesting. Talking about perspectives, and it's all about perspective, my radio stumbled upon this right-wing radio station, and I didn't know what I was listening to at first. I was like, which show is this? I was trying to distinguish what I was listening to, and then I was like, oh my God, I'm listening to conservative radio. And then I was like the devil channel. I was going to turn it. But then someone was like, no, listen. Let me hear what that message sounds like. It's good to understand and study up on, maybe people that have opposing views to hear why they might have those views because they are steadfast on them. So I was like, okay, let me listen. Let me grit my teeth and see if I can get through it. And it was so interesting because the message was very unified. 3 points, save America. They're trying to, open borders. It was very bulleted. It felt very cohesive. And I was surprised at the rational delivery. I'm used to maybe hearing bits of Rush Limbaugh. I thought it was just gonna be No, it was very calm and talking their points and talking about just another perspective on all of the issues. Of course, Trump's doing what he's got to do, and it was amazing to hear this. And I was like, something. It was mind blowing that just. I get people, there's people that just have different points of view about what's happening in this country. Just different points of view. It wasn't like it was someone sounded like an idiot. They just were making their points of view. This is how we see it. We think this is a problem. You don't, we do. I was like, oh, okay. So I was really encouraged that, all right, the other side, you better get unified, man. You better get some good talking points. Them bad boys feel locked together, talking points ready, know what the agenda is, know this is our guy, this is what we doing. They got a momentum over that joint. They got music, they be saying the things, got the music playing in the background. I said, okay. I was shocked. I don't know what I expected, but it really kind of expanded my points of view and understandings about the some other it was, and some of the issues. The key thing that was interesting is I didn't listen all night, and I haven't viewed all the issues on immigration and women's rights, and I don't have a dissertation on these, but just the way the information was presented, it didn't seem that far apart between the left and right, although I know they are, but in the presentation of the information, it wasn't presented in an outlandish way, because I was wondering, how do you get so many people to buy into this. So that's what I was listening for, and it's because it's presented in a, hey, you know, that fear, you know, things are going wrong. We've got to save America. Things is jumping off the, you know, the rails here. So, yeah, so that is something that I found compelling, but I thought I would share. So anyway, do we have a caller on the line?
David.
All right, Damon, go ahead. You are on the air with Carmiece Graves. Hit it. What's up?
I call every once in a while. I don't know if I've called your show, though. But, I heard you talking about, the propaganda that's coming out about Trump. And I also call a lot of extremely right-wing radio. I call left-wing, right-wing, NPR, all kind of shows. And but you're right. I mean, certain of those people, it's kind of interesting. Some of the worst of the gun nuts, they're like actually terrified all the time. And, that's why they got to have 47 guns. And it's like, I've never owned one. I don't expect to ever own one because I have enough confidence in my life, and
Sure.
The idea that somebody thinks that they need tanks, missiles, all this kind of crazy crap, just in case of some insult or a slight, that all of a sudden we could be at war, Trump's obviously stirring up war with Iran to cover up for the Mueller report, which shows him to be organized crime. And in fact, it's interesting when you think of it, just the very basic logic. Did you get to read the little 27-page letter that got released by the Judiciary Committee yesterday?
I have not.
It goes by Nadler. Nadler's impeachment. You can do a Google search of Nadler letter, but you find it easy at judiciary.committee.gov, and then just look in their press section and you'll find it. But it starts off, the people in Congress that voted to release the Mueller report, it says, it's in one of the opening paragraphs, every congressman and woman voted to release it. Every one of them. 420 to 0.
And the point that you're raising is, and I'm glad you called in, because the main point I feel that is at issue that people need to be worried about, and it's really not, to me, the issues that the left and the right or the Republicans or the Democrats are putting forward in their candidates in our shops. It's our fabric of democracy. Like when you don't show up, to testify before Congress, you're challenging the strength of our Constitution and its design and its protections against a monarchy. And I think, really respecting the separation and powers of each of our branches of government is really being challenged right now, and that's a huge deal to me. And it's tremendous. It's like the biggest deal in the world.
Well, it's almost worse because, and this is one of the reasons why I kind of think he's got an artificial strength. You remember his name, his family name is Drumpf, D-R-U-M-P-F. And his grandpa, the prostitution, he owned a bordello and got run out of Germany because he was of low character. So after they moved back to America, they changed their name to Trump.
Oh, I've heard of that. I heard that Trump had roots in Germany. I read that.
Yeah, and since Trump, in gambling, Trump means you automatically win, no matter what, right? And which, think in terms of an antichrist or something like that, somebody with a fixation in their brain that they can automatically win no matter what. Now, that doesn't work in real life, and especially when you're running a government. And especially when you lie he's probably closing in on 1,100 lies, or 10,000.
Well, thanks. We've got to leave it there. Thanks. We'll keep checking in. I know it's compelling. We'll keep checking in and watching. But thanks so much for calling, and thanks, guys, so much for tuning in.
Just remember, it was 420 to 0 that voted to release the Mueller report.
Thank you. Thanks for the update. And you guys, thanks so much for tuning in. And guys, we will tune in next week to the Carmiece Graves Radio Show. And you guys be well. Thanks for tuning in on Facebook. Share my video, like my page. Carmiece Graves. Call me if you need me. Thanks so much.
Star 1450 AM WOL at 95.9.
This caller talking politics. You're on with Carmiece Graves.
Good morning,
like
folks. I'm Earl Kirk. Here's the latest from
Where's
News
my
Talk
outro?
Brought to you by
Hey.
KFC.
KFC's got a variety of
Alonzo.
white meat chicken $5 fill-ups. That's premium tasty
Alonzo.
fried chicken with 100% white meat.
Hello. Hello. You didn't play my outro.
Uber and Lyft all across the country are threatening a one-day
Come on
strike
now.
tomorrow. NBC's Miguel Almaguer has more.
Drivers are demanding better wages, clear policies on...
See y'all later. Y'all know how to reach me. It be live. It be real in the building. I don't be
Rideshare
playing.
workers plan to strike in at least 7 U.S. cities, including D.C.